Hey, what's going on, everyone? So, there's been lots of videos going around at the moment about the supposed problem of there being not enough third-party big games on the Nintendo Switch, and of course, when talking about these third parties and their so-called big games, they are referring most likely to the likes of games from EA, Activision, Rockstar, and Ubisoft, because let's be honest, these are the companies people seem to place at the top of the cake for whatever insane reasons they could think of. Now, I don't personally hate these companies, apart from EA, of course, who, if you look up trash in the dictionary, the word trash would probably jump off the page and slap you in the face for comparing it with EA, because EA are even below the word trash. But like many companies, they weren't, for the most part, always bad. But man, when I see people wanting games, like the new Tomb Raiders, sorry Juice, if you're listening to this, the latest Final Fantasies, the latest Grand Theft Autos, Assassin's Creeds, Need for Speeds, etc. On the asking for them on the Nintendo Switch, because they feel like these are big AAA titles that grab all the media attention. I can't help but sit back and think, these games today, compared to many of their predecessors, in my mind, are mostly trash and don't deserve half the praise they get. But hey, opinions, right? When I look back at some of the original games that have appeared on Nintendo systems in the past, from many of these companies, I personally vastly prefer on the Nintendo Switch sequels or newer takes on many of these titles over the games I mentioned just now, because that's another thing I love about Nintendo machines. How because their consoles attempt something new each generation, these new systems features can get many companies to create original and fresh titles, just for those systems, attempting to diversify the library and make those systems as unique and original as possible with their content. So we don't feel like we own, when we own multiple systems, it doesn't feel like, that all these systems have the same game libraries of games, that we play. And this is mostly because Nintendo are, for the most part, the only ones who take risks in changing up their consoles and their controllers, drastically at least. So recently, as we know, and much to my surprise and delight, Squaresoft, Square Enix, I mean, they were still Squaresoft when its title was released. But anyway, Square, we just call them that. Have just announced that they are bringing Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles remastered or HD, whatever it's going to be called, to both the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4. But let's be honest, this game belongs on the Nintendo Switch mostly, right? I was lucky enough to play this game multiplayer back in the day, which required not just a game and a GameCube, but also a Game Boy Advance. As even back then, Nintendo and developers were trying and playing with two-screen gaming. Crystal Chronicles is a stunning looking and sounding title for the GameCube, and I still consider it a stunning looking title today. Truly a beautiful game, which I vastly preferred over the train wreck that was Final Fantasy 10 on the PlayStation 2. Just be honest with yourself, people. Final Fantasy 10 was a travesty to the Final Fantasy name. And we got this Final Fantasy X, we got this title after coming off the truly wonderful and infinitely better Final Fantasy IX on the PlayStation 1. So for the GameCube to arguably lose out on Final Fantasy X, I had no issues, because I love the originality and beauty of Crystal Chronicles, much more than Final Fantasy X. Here's my original copy, as you can see, in this beautiful box with beautiful artwork. Remember when game cases, and boxes were loved by their creators? I also took a photo of this game a while back and posted on my Instagram, which is linked to my YouTube channel if you fancy taking a look, as I'm slowly updating it with my games collection. But I remember tweeting that post, and I'm sure I said that the Switch would be ideal for a Crystal Chronicles game, because once again, let's be honest, people, every Nintendo console is designed for local multiplayer, and is, in my opinion, far more fun to set up and play on locally than the competition. Whether that's because of the controls and or the games themselves. But yeah, the biggest issue with Crystal Chronicles back then was indeed finding friends who also had a Game Boy Advance, as well as a link cable. And if you were a true Nintendo fan, then there should have been no reason why you didn't have a Game Boy Advance. Joking aside, no, seriously, you should have had a Game Boy Advance, because you should have had Metro Prime and Metro Prime Fusion, so you can get the Fusion suit in Metro Prime, baby. And if you didn't, then shit, your life is simply incomplete. Where was I going with this conversation again? Oh yeah. So yeah, I thought I'd mention some of the games I'd vastly prefer over the current ones people are seemingly wanting on the Switch. So yeah, Crystal Chronicles HD is great. I'll be getting this and playing it with my kids who should love it. But of course, a Crystal Chronicles 2 or just another Crystal Chronicles, just like on the Wii and DS games, would be great as well. And I'd happily live without Final Fantasy 15 on a Nintendo Switch. Sticking with Square, give me a new Theatrhythm over Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition, and for once, because the Switch can offer this, make it play completely in handheld mode, similar to VOZ. Although I believe that's been updated to play in dock mode as well now. I have no issues with games being handled only. In handheld form, that's the beauty of the Switch. It offers these varying playstyles. And a freaking course, give me a Bravely third on the Nintendo Switch, because both those games on the 3DS were great, and certainly boosted the reasons why we got Octopath Traveler for the Nintendo Switch. I'd take a new Bravely over Final Fantasy 15 any day. Hell, I'd even take it over the travesty of a remake that was Secret of Mana that got recently done, which was trash. People want Grand Theft Auto 5, as well, and I can understand why, as it's the most successful GTA game of all time. Hell, it's one of the most successful games of all time, period. But I prefer the old GTA, the ones that didn't take themselves too seriously. And one of my favorites was Chinatown Wars on the Nintendo DS. I freaking love this game on the Nintendo DS. The music, the characters, and the story, the city and missions, plus the awesome use of the touchscreen. This reminds me, I seriously don't want two-screen gaming, to die. Why would you? It works so well. But yeah, give me Chinatown Wars 2, any freaking day over the port of GTA 5. And let's make use of the Switch's unique features, for another fun and unique GTA title. And whilst we're still on Rockstar Games, let them and Nintendo, kiss and make up, and give me, Body Harvest 2. I take that shizzle over the port of, the original Red Dead Redemption, or even, an attempt at porting Red Dead Redemption, 2 any day. Body Harvest was great, as were DMA Design on the Nintendo 64. Open world before GTA, baby. There are not many, games like Body Harvest anymore, which always remind me of Starship Troopers, a film I, absolutely love. And if we're not getting Yakuza from Sega, after this ill-fated release on the Wii U in Japan, then by Crom, give us Mad World 2 already. I'm sure Platinum Games would love to return to that series. And if you ask me, that's the direction Streets of Rage 4 should have gone in, with better implemented controls, of course. But yeah, I loved Mad World, and I feel like a good sequel to that would be really, really awesome for the Nintendo Switch, just like the original was for the Wii. From the likes of Ubisoft, instead of The Division on the Switch, a game I didn't even like, I didn't rate that high, which we know just isn't going to happen, it's not going to come to the Switch, give us Red Steel 3. I bet your ass, a third entry in that series would sell much better on the Nintendo Switch, at the moment, and I'd be more than happy for them to take another approach, just like they did with Red Steel 2, which motion control wise is one of the best FPS games on the Nintendo Wii, people. Have it set in feudal Japan, where your gun this time is a single shot cannon type of thing, or something, and we can get some real good motion control swordplay, nom nom. And instead of a recent ass creed on the Nintendo Switch, give me a new Zombie U. Although as we know, the wider world shunned two-screen console gaming, those idiots, which means a new Zombie U might not be as immersive, and we could tell that from its later release on the other consoles, but still, anything's better than we have Konami, who right now aren't exactly blowing us away, but we can forgive them slightly, or praise Sakurai for the inclusion of Castlevania, and of course, I sell my kids for the new Castlevania that look just like the Smash inclusion. But let's go back to the N64, and instead of say a port of Metal Gear Solid 5. Another big Konami game. Let's be honest again. If a new Metal Gear comes along, it'll be interesting to see what direction Konami go in. But another exclusive and unique game from Konami was Hybrid Heaven. I'd love to see a take on this game on the Nintendo Switch. A game which managed to mix RPG and action genre together, and there was nothing better than suplexing a monster in that game. It always felt really satisfying. And to finish off, I'm going to go into the dark abyss that is EA. As much as I chew them out, a company I hate now with every fiber of my gaming being. But there was a time back in the day, and there was also a game on the Nintendo 64, which I utterly loved, and it's still one of my favorite races ever. This game is Beat Adventure Racing, and I'd easily, happily take a sequel of this game, where I pretend that licensing issues aren't a problem with Volkswagen or anything like that. I take that over the likes of a port of say Need for Speed. Although I did enjoy playing what I did of Most Wanted U on the Nintendo Switch, where I found the online to be pretty hilarious, and I did like the two-screen touchscreen implementations of that. So yeah, those are just a few of the titles that I vastly prefer to have on the Switch instead of ports of the other more modern games that I'm personally utterly and completely tired of. Some of those older titles I mentioned might not have been perfect, but if anything they were unique, fun, memorable, and tried to be different, something I personally value highly. And it's another thing I loved about the Nintendo Wii. Everyone chewed out that console, saying they got shovelware and all this stuff, but the Wii had a wealth of unique and fun games that you just didn't see on any other platform. And I want the Switch to become similar to the Wii in that respect, where games are catered for that platform, because there's no point in us asking for all these PlayStation 4 and Xbox One games to come to the Switch, because we might as well just own those other consoles. I know there's a portability side, but we might as well just own those other consoles. Let's ask for unique games specific to the Switch itself. So yeah, if you're like me and don't care if some of these newer, more high-profile titles come to the Switch or not, what from those companies would you prefer over those titles? As always, thanks for listening, and I look forward to your comments below. Take care all. Peace.